You're watching Candid Talk with Tahir Gora at Tag TV. Today we are talking about situation in Afghanistan, and I'm joined with a very special guest, Mr. Ghulam Wali Noori. हम यहाँ कनाडा में रहते हुए अफ़गानिस्तान के मसाइल से ख़ुद को अलग नहीं कर सकते, सिर्फ इसलिए नहीं कि हम साउथ एशियन हैं, इसलिए भी कि दुनिया एक ग्लोबल विलेज है और अफ़गानिस्तान का जो इम्पैक्ट है वो पूरी दुनिया पर है और पूरी दुनिया का जो इम्पैक्ट है वो अफ़गानिस्तान पर है. Canadian armed forces fought in Afghanistan. US is still there. International stakeholders are surrounding Afghanistan. It's a great nation. It's a great country, bounded by Pakistan on one side, Iran on the other side, China from another side, and Central Asian states as well. आज मैं अपने स्टूडियो में अफ़गानिस्तान के बारे में कुछ बातचीत करूँगा, ख़ास तौर पर जब हम देखते हैं कि तालिबान अफ़गान सोल्जर्स के साथ सेल्फियाँ खींच रहे हैं और हमें एक उम्मीद की किरण नज़र आती है कि वो जो ख़ुद को तालिबान कहलाते हैं वो शायद मेन स्ट्रीम में वापस आना चाहते हैं, वो शायद पीस के रास्ते पर आना चाहते हैं. अफ़गान इश्यूज़ पर और सेंट्रल एशियन इश्यूज़ पर और उस रीजन के इश्यूज़ पर एक गहरी नज़र रखते हैं. नूरी साहब ने बहुत सारी पोजीशंस पर काम भी किया और कंसल्टेंसी भी की इंटरनेशनल लेवल पर भी और अफ़गान गवर्नमेंट के हवाले से भी एकेडमिक हैं, बहुत अच्छे आर्टिकल्स लिखते हैं. वेलकम गुलाम वली नूरी भाई.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.
आप ये बताइए, मैंने बात शुरू की तालिबान की सेल्फियों के हवाले से. सोशल मीडिया का ज़माना है, सेल्फ़ी दूर दूर तक पहुंचती है. कनाडा के प्राइम मिनिस्टर जस्टिन ट्रूडो की सेल्फियां भी बहुत पॉपुलर हैं और हम देखते हैं कि अब ये सेल्फियां भी अफ़गानिस्तान से पॉपुलर हो रही हैं. हाउ डू यू सी दिस हैपनिंग?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You know, this for the last 40 years, it was the first 3 days that was no war between two brothers or two parties who are again brothers. When it comes to selfie, you know, there is a theory that once you experience new thing, you never go turn or go back to the old thing.
Right.
So once those fighters who are tired from both sides, especially the nation is very tired of war, they won't return back to their old way of life or old style.
Right.
As the information that I have from Afghanistan, in the last this 3 days, there's almost 3,500 Taliban fighters have entered to different cities across Afghanistan. 60% have not returned back to the battlefield, and they want to stay with their families, and they want to have a peaceful life like everyone else that has in Afghanistan or everyone else have in Afghanistan or across the world. So that's a very positive thing that I have seen in my life.
So you mean that this temporary ceasefire, what we saw very recently, could bring any stability in Afghanistan?
Stability will take a long way for it depends on international politics or situation, or also regional actors and situation and politics. But it will certainly, it is a big step toward that stability. We are a secure country right now. Afghanistan will never go back to when it was before 9/11. We are secure from that. But to reach a full stability, as you mentioned, this is one of the steps, and it's a big step.
So it's a big step. Absolutely, it's a big step. And as you said, that 60% of those Taliban who had selfies, like staying with their families, and it's very natural.
That's very natural.
They were forced into wars, as you said, regional forces. So, what is further, I should ask that way, what is further role of Pakistan in Afghanistan? Or what are the ambitions of Pakistan in Afghanistan? Because we cannot talk about stability in Afghanistan without talking about Pakistan's negative or positive role.
Oh, Pakistan has so much to both positively and negatively to do in Afghanistan. In other words, Pakistan is a headquarters for Taliban. Wherever you go in any city in travel in Pakistan, you are in 10 Taliban fighters. You will see one of the biggest Taliban commanders, including the ministers. So if this is the situation, so then it's mean like Afghanistan peace is like 99% is actually belonging to Pakistan, positive rule. Pakistan has, unfortunately, since the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, the Afghanistan war is a huge business for Pakistan Army. You know, when General Zia was in power, and that time when he hanged Benazir Bhutto's father, the situation and the relationship between him and the West was very bad, and Pakistan was in crisis. Then suddenly the Russian invaded Afghanistan, and that changed the table or Zia favor. And one night, from this bad relationship the relationship turned to a good relationship. So Pakistan was getting $500 billion annually only from the United States, leave alone the money that were coming from the Muslim and Arab wars. 50 to 40,000 Arab fighters were transferred from different prisons and countries from Arab and Muslim wars to Pakistan, and they were trained by ISI. And they were sent to Afghanistan to kill Afghans. And also those atom bombs that people are saying this was built by Pakistan. It's like people who are academics like you and others, they would question that a lot, because like building an atomic or nuclear bomb is a very long process, and that needs certain materials and technology. So they actually become a nuclear power because of the war in Afghanistan. And now this, especially ISI, become very rich, and the East Directorate was created only designated for Afghanistan. The SSG, the Special Service Group, that is a very unique, like American Navy SEALs, equivalent to American Navy SEALs. And they were fighting side by side with Mujahideen in Afghanistan, and then with Taliban when Taliban were in power. When after 9/11, when the U.S. was bombarding Taliban, and most of those northern provinces collapsed to the Taliban opposition forces, except Kunduz. And that's why, because SSG was fighting in that province. Then Pervez Musharraf entered to an agreement with President Bush, and that's okay. Give us a pause, we will send our plane and we will evacuate those SSG's personnel from Kunduz. And they sent their planes to Kunduz in the middle of that war, and they evacuated those SSG fighters from Kunduz, include some top Taliban commanders, including Mullah Daudullah, who was later killed by U.S. Special Forces in Helmand. And then this, the drug trade is a big business for ISI. I know personally a lot of people who are involved in that drug trades on the other side of Pakistan, because um, um, that's a big business. As you know, it's a $500 billion business, Afghanistan opium business, and that's through Pakistan and Iran. For the part that is in Pakistan without our eyesight, there is no way someone is going to touch that business. And after 9/11, the money that we know is 37 billion US aid were given to Pakistan, but God knows those quote-unquote white checks and white other money that was given by other organizations, especially by the CIA, to Pakistan, and the money that are coming from the Arab world and the Muslim world to Pakistan for different excuses to Pakistan. This is such an enormous business for Pakistan. Plus that Afghanistan situation, both geographical location and human resources. Afghans are good fighters, and they are not and they don't need too much to fight for Pakistan.
As you're mentioning about Pakistan establishment's business regarding Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, Pakistan establishment says that we accommodated millions of Afghans. We destroyed, they say, quote unquote, we destroyed our peace for the sake of Afghan brothers and sisters. So how would you take their argument in context of your allegation towards Pakistan establishment? And these are not just your allegations, those are the point of view prevailing in Afghanistan. So how would you reconcile these two narratives?
Oh, this is crystal clear. I'm one of those refugees who are growing up in Pakistan. Pakistan was getting millions and billions of dollars on the head of those refugees who reside in Pakistan, but they were only getting one parcel of wheat per month. And also Pakistan actually, even the United Nations Refugee Agency and UNDP and others organizations that were helping Afghan refugees were contributing too much money to the Pakistani economy, and we were not a burden on the Pakistani economy, because it's not like in Canada. When you come here, the government provides you houses, food, health, and education. We built our own houses. I remember my family built our own houses. My family members were working and they were surviving themselves. And this is true for the whole, for all those 3 to 4 million refugees that were in Pakistan and Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iran.
As you are negating Pakistan establishment's claims about helping Afghans, so in this recent scenario in Afghanistan about peace, what we have seen recently, sort of a very positive move by Afghan government trying to bring back, I would call, fighters into mainstream. And given the role of Pakistan in Afghanistan, what do you see hope of peace in Afghanistan?
I used to work in both offices, in President Karzai offices and President Ashraf Ghani offices. Like both those two presidents have tried their best to persuade Pakistan that a peaceful Afghanistan is on your benefit. Yes, we have a problem on the Durand line, but that is history now. We let's have like a new dialogue. Let's have a new relationship, and how we can both benefit of the human resources, the natural resources, the geographical resources, such benefits that we have. Let's enjoy that for and use that for the benefits of our two nations. I remember that I was in a meeting with the President Karzai. He was meeting tribal elder from Kandahar. He told them and that if I believe that Pakistan is going to bring peace, these Indians will not spend one night in Afghanistan. I will close all of their embassies and their offices in Afghanistan. But it's not what they want. And especially when President Ashraf Ghani reached to the power, he actually walked to the GHQ, to the Pakistan Army headquarters, and met with Kayani first, and then met with Rahil Sharif. He told them, like, whatever you want from us, just let us know, we can do it. Unless you want a document from us that we can hand over Afghanistan. Other than that, we will do everything. So Afghanistan, especially Ashraf Ghani, did a lot of one-sided things, and that was so criticized in Afghanistan. He handed over this Taliban deputy commander, Latifullah Masood, the Pakistani Taliban commander, with no condition to Pakistan. And he actually suspended all talks and programs that we had with India. And he even not mentioned Indian names for 7 months. He was hoping that he will see a positive sign from Pakistan. It was not there. And then 30 military operation, when I was working, I'm the witness, when I was working at the National Security Office, Council, were conducted by Afghanistan National Security Forces across the Durand line against the Pakistani Taliban. And more were actually were conducted with coordination on both sides of the Durand line with the Pakistan Army. And we actually sent, this was one of their claim, like, why you are sending your troops your soldiers to train in India. We sent our troops, our soldiers to Pakistan for training. But none of them work. Personally, I'm not optimistic person from Pakistan that Pakistan will change its policy because it's such a big and huge business for Pakistan Army and ISI. So for me, two things a few things can really change the situation in Afghanistan. One is the Afghanistan National Security Forces. We have a tremendous, courageous army. It's new, it has challenges, but it's growing up very rapidly, and they're getting their experience very rapidly. So that's one hope. The other hope is that the nation, the people. Yesterday, there was a huge protest in Ghazni and Zabul provinces, in eastern Afghanistan, in Nangarhar provinces. The people people are tired from war, and they want peace, and they want that ceasefire to be expanded, and it's actually expanded in Paktia provinces for 1 month between the Taliban and the government. So that I'm very optimistic to my people, that they don't want this to be just killed by any side, or their houses searched or destroyed by anyone. So they are actually rising right now, and that's a positive sign. And the third thing is that if there is an international consensus, especially by the United States and NATO and India and China, that tell Pakistan enough is enough. So we want peace in Afghanistan. Other than that, I'm sorry to say that we will be engaging in a long war.
Right. So on the other hand, Taliban, who are showing sort of a peace truce with Afghan government, saying that we are not fighting on behalf of Pakistan. How do you take their statement?
I'm from Kandahar, and most of these Taliban leaders are from Kandahar. And most of, especially this Taliban leader, Mullah, we're from the same village. If I send my farmer, like one of our villager from today to Quetta, it will take between 3 to 4 days to meet him in Quetta.
Right.
So even the leader of Taliban, he can meet in 3 to 4 days in Quetta. But leave alone those fighters and those soldiers and these commanders and the Quetta Shura and the Peshawar Shura. If you I'm not sure you've been to Quetta or not. If you are in Pashtunabad or Nawikali and this Azarganji area and this all parts of Quetta, you will see these different houses of Taliban, and this is like they're like accommodation houses, and they are actually when they go to Afghanistan for a few months and then they return and take rest in that houses, and then they go back, and it's not you don't need a very complicated intelligence network to find out them. No, you can just walk to any masjid,
right,
or any madrasa or any outdoor accommodation houses, and you will see them, and they will tell you the story how they're killing Afghans.
So, on one hand, you tell us with evidences that those Talibans are linked with Pakistan army establishment, but on the other hand, they are denying their linkage with the Pakistan army. So in that scenario, again my question stays the same, that how would peace go further if those Taliban leaders are fighting on behalf of Pakistan?
As I said, it doesn't go further unless this Taliban, I'm not sure like how this Taliban will free themselves from Pakistan. I wish they gain that wisdom. That's why would I kill my people? Why would I destroy my people just on behalf of Pakistan and for the benefit of Pakistan? That's very. As far as I know my people, as far as I know Taliban, it won't happen soon. The only way that we able to protect our country, that we, our national security forces have that power to clear Afghanistan from those insurgents, these terrorists, and also not let anyone who crossed the zero line to Afghanistan to harm us. Or there is something happen in the global scale or global politics. India intervene heavily, or China. There is a sign that China is willing right now to participate in many ways in Afghanistan. China and the United States. The United States has a tremendous power on Pakistan, influence on Pakistan. They can stop easily Pakistan from killing our people and from killing the NATO forces. 3,000, almost 3,000 US soldiers have been killed in Afghanistan since 9/11. All those soldiers have been killed by Taliban who are actually reside in Pakistan.
So in the end, I would like to know, do you see any hope from the United States or from China to bring peace in that region? Because as you said, they are the stakeholders, they are the superpowers. And if they press Pakistan if they create an environment of peace in the region, peace would happen. Do you see any hope from them, particularly from China and from the United States?
You know, there was I have studied Chinese politics. When I had a paper on the Uyghur Muslim question in the Xinjiang province, which are these Turks Muslim minorities who are living in Xinjiang province. They have a militancy group that they want separation or from China. That was actually their camps were inside Pakistan, and I know several times Chinese government even complained to Pakistan government like, these people are coming from your country to China. And usually they were using the way of Badakhshan, which is eastern Afghanistan, to China to travel. And it's very hard terrain, but they were doing so. China is actually willing to invest in Afghanistan national security forces beside the United States. China is want to build one brigade of Afghanistan national security forces only to focus on Badakhshan province, especially for those Uyghur separatists who are crossing from Pakistan to Badakhshan and then to China, to prevent them. So it's mean that there is something that pushing China, that their stability, if they want a full stability in China, especially in the Xinjiang province, Afghanistan need to be secure. And then China has this economical, like one road, one belt plan, and that is several their lines are in through Afghanistan. And if that's not if there's no peace, so in Afghanistan that plan cannot be accomplished. So these are all those things that are now that push China to involve more and more in Afghanistan. And I had a chance recently to talk to one of our former ambassador of Afghanistan to China. He said that Chinese were, the first time he realized that Chinese were actually initiating something about Afghanistan. For the last 15 years, they were just laid back and doing nothing, just looking to the United States. And the United States actually, this is the longest war of the United States in their history in Afghanistan. They want to, for me, like, if they want my advice, that's not to be aimed, that's not to be finished in a way that keep the prestige of the United States in the world, especially after this two defeats in Iraq and Syria. So they lost Iraq to ISIS and they lost Syria to Russia. So if they want to gain back that prestige that they are the only superpower on the earth, so they need to bring a peace to Afghanistan, and then can tell the NATO countries and the coalition forces that who contributed too much into Afghanistan, and it's especially to the American public, that okay, we were there for 17 or 18 years or 20 years, but this is the result, and the results are good. So that need to push the United States to bring peace in Afghanistan.
Thank you very much for your insight on Afghanistan, and hope with all international stakeholders, soon we'll have peace in Afghanistan as well as in the region. And thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much. Hopefully there is a peace soon in Afghanistan. That way one day we can travel together.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, thank you for watching Candid Talk with our friend Mr. Ghulam Wali Noori.